All right, hi folks. We are just going to wait a few minutes past the hour here to make sure that everybody who wants to join the line has a chance to get on. So just hang tight for a few minutes here. All right, so we will get started now. So my name's Maddie. I'm an enrollment advisor with Acadia's Enrollment Services team. So I'll be your moderator for today's webinar. And today we're covering the Faculty of Arts and how some of their courses might be covered this fall. So this is our agenda for the day. The webinar, I should say. It's not a full day, don't worry. All right, so yeah, we're just going to cover some housekeeping and intros. Then I'm going to hand it over to the Dean of Arts, Dr. Laura Robinson, to do the course format overview. We're going to have some questions that different professors, different faculty members are going to answer for us. And at the end, if all your questions weren't answered, we are going to do a live Q&A session. So just a few housekeeping items. I will have you note that Microsoft Teams Live has about a 20-second delay. So if you're seeing a delay, if you do type in a question, something like that, there is a bit of a delay, so just know that. We are recording the session, so all of these sessions will be recorded so that we can post them online afterwards if you'd like to review any of them. I know it's not July 10th, that little icon up there. That is the date you will be receiving an email kind of with course formats and the courses that you'll be able to review yourself that you are registered for to be able to determine how they're going to be delivered this fall. So keep an eye out in your emails this Friday, July 10th. You'll be able to hear about those. We do have similar presentations coming up tomorrow. We have the Professional Studies webinar and Friday Pure and Applied Science. You're more than welcome to join those sessions as well. You might have an elective in one of those, and you're welcome to join us for those. And we also have some fall info sessions tomorrow. So there's 2 tomorrow. You can see them at the top left there. Those are more operational info sessions. So, we're going to be covering campus navigation, dining hall, residence, those sorts of things. So we aren't going to be addressing those today. It's just going to be the course format for Faculty of Arts. And then if you're new to Acadia, we do have an Acadia 101 series, which basically helps prepare you for the fall. So those are super helpful. Those are all online at the website too, and those are recorded and will be posted online as well if you missed any of them. So check those out for sure. All right. So just a few intros. Today on the line, we have Dr. Laura Robinson, Dr. Jeffrey Whitehall, Dr. Chelsea Gardner, and Dr. Rebecca Casey. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to the experts, and Dr. Laura Robinson is going to be doing a general overview of your Faculty of Arts course formats. I think you're muted there, Dr. Robinson, sorry.
See if people can read my lips. Welcome everyone. I'm excited to be here today and to share with you some of the work and hard work our faculty members have done to come up with different course deliveries for fall 2020. We have courses that will be on campus. So this is in-person delivery, the kind of course you would have anticipated. So not necessarily modified for virtual instruction. And I can talk about a little bit more about that a little bit later. Hybrid courses. So this is flexible course structure combining classroom-based and virtual learning. And the virtual elements can be scheduled or unscheduled, and I'll explain that a bit more. I do want to point out that the in-person moments for all of these will be according to Nova Scotia Health protocols. So there'll be social distancing and all of that. So for hybrid, the scheduled instruction will have specific live class times, as noted in the course timetable for lectures and other activities. And the pace of the course content delivery, in addition to required assignments and ongoing assessment, will be consistent across both the virtual and classroom-based environments. For the hybrid unscheduled, the virtual instruction will be unscheduled, so students can participate primarily on their own schedule. The pace of the course content delivery, in addition to required assignments and ongoing assessment, will be consistent across both virtual and classroom-based environments. So these courses will provide flexible options for students who wish to study online or who will be residing outside of the province in time zones that would make it difficult for them to align with courses scheduled in the Atlantic time zone here in Nova Scotia. So then we have the virtual kind of course modes. And again, there's two different kinds here. One is the virtual scheduled instruction, and this is virtual instruction with specific live class times. So it would be like going to class potentially in a space like this, as noted in the course timetable for lectures and other activities. And faculty and instructors also have the flexibility to integrate additional online activities directly with the class and/or with individual students. We also have virtual unscheduled instruction, and this is instruction providing students with the flexibility to complete a course based primarily on their own schedule. These courses will provide flexible options for students who wish to study online and/or who will be residing outside the province in time zones that would make it difficult for them to attend in real time. I'm going to bring in Chelsea, Becky, and Jeffrey here to talk about some of the course designs that they or their colleagues have come up with. Chelsea?
Hi, everyone. So I'm in the Department of History and Classics. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about specifics for some of our courses when we get to the FAQ. But I can say that a large number of us are doing our classes virtually. And although we do have scheduled time slots, the majority of us have scheduled time slots for these courses, we have collectively decided to be very, very flexible with these because we don't want to leave anyone behind if people have, you know, poor internet connection, if they're not on campus, if they're in rural areas. So it's more so, well, when it comes to my classes, personally, I'm teaching introductory Latin and Greek art and architecture this fall. And for my classes, the scheduled times will be used to get together, have discussion, but everything will be recorded and none of these will be mandatory so as to not disadvantage anyone.
Thanks so much, Chelsea. Jeffrey.
Hey, everyone. So, you know, I think a lot of people in our department I'm in the Department of Politics, are really excited about playing around with these different formats and really trying to come up with some really innovative ways and of sort of teaching class, but also really harnessing the potential of these models to be able to connect in new and different kinds of ways. And let me just give you an example of in Canadian politics this year. The Professor Paul Black is going to be using the Saskatchewan election to both do a flexible scheduled and unscheduled set of assignments. So there's a real-time event that's happening in the world that we're going to track through, you know, through your own day-to-day life and engagement. And then we'll have these opportunities to come back into the classroom and connect either in a collective experience or on an individual sort of virtual check-in. And so there are these ways that we can really combine all of these different scheduled and unscheduled, real and virtual experiences in a classroom to make this experience more than, you know, just a sort of unfolding a lecture-based model. So we're really excited about that.
Thanks so much, Jeffrey. Becky.
Hi, everyone. I'm in the sociology department, and I echo a lot of the comments from Chelsea and Jeffrey about what's happening in the sociology department. So we're also working hard to change some of our courses. You'll see there's a nice mix of both virtual and hybrid style classrooms that will be offered. We're looking into ways to best meet the needs of the students while finding innovative ways with the new technology that's available to us. So I'll be teaching one virtual class and 2 hybrid models where likely it'll be a lecture face-to-face, and then the second part of the class will be online and a little bit more unstructured and flexible and more hands-on type of activities.
Great, thanks, Becky. Back to you, Maddie.
All right, thanks everyone. So now we're going to go through a few questions that we've received the past few weeks, some frequently asked questions. I'm going to go through them with the profs we have on the line here. And again, if your questions aren't, or not all of your questions are answered through these, we do have the live Q&A at the end. And again, there's always touch points afterwards as well. So the first question I have here is for Dr. Gardner, first off, and if anybody wants to add anything after, you're more than welcome to. But what are some of the benefits of learning virtually or through a hybrid model? Sorry, I have my little bar in the way. What's exciting about teaching in a new environment this fall?
Great, thanks so much, Maddie. So basically, the benefits of going virtual are often tied directly to what is most exciting for many of our faculty here at Acadia. So basically, going virtual is encouraging all of us to really examine the classes we have and ask ourselves, what is the best way for our students to absorb this material in this new format? We're rethinking all of our content for contemporary relevance. We want to reshape our classes so that we're focusing on things that matter most to you, the student, and the world that you live in. In the traditional lecture hall, some of us can rely too heavily on the lecture style classroom, whereas the hybrid/virtual model is allowing us to rethink our typical modes of delivery and is actually going to bring you a better learning experience, I think. And the best part is you still have us there online teaching you, whether it's through live discussions, chats, breakout rooms, flipped classrooms, activities, games, etc. So I mentioned before that I teach Latin, which is like literally one of the most archaic classes we have, right? It's so old-fashioned, it's a dead language. And by going virtual, I'm able to ditch our old dusty textbooks and incorporate new online tools and exercises that give students immediate feedback. So think like Duolingo and Rosetta Stone, that'll allow you to immerse yourselves in language that you can engage with at your own pace, which I'm really excited about. So again, the major benefit for us in the Faculty of Arts is that we're seizing this opportunity to reframe our courses and break free of the mold. Going virtual is giving us, as instructors, the opportunity to pursue topics through a much more varied set of perspectives. One of my colleagues pointed out in the history department that unscheduled online learning is going to free him and his students from this narrative chronological approach that we so often have in our courses. So like our big surveys, like global history, are typically presented, in a timeline format. Whereas this year, he's going to do something completely different and take a modular approach so that he can do targeted deep dives into specific subtopics, regions, eras, or themes. And the hope here is that you, the student, will gain more substantive knowledge of societies, cultures, and practices. So freeing ourselves from this strict chronological approach means no more skimming over material just to get to the end of a topic. I can't tell you how many times I've said okay, we have to finish this topic today. So here's the end of the Roman Empire and the death of Antony and Cleopatra in 30 seconds. We don't have to do that anymore, which is actually phenomenal. And the last thing I'm going to mention, because I've been talking for a bit, is how excited we all are about some of the new course content that we're developing because of this shift to hybrid/virtual. So another one of my colleagues in history and classics is creating an assignment in his class that will give students access to his own personal online collection of unique archival material relating to Japanese war crimes and subsequent international trials. Another colleague is brainstorming new creative ways for students to present their material in online formats, so creating movies and mini documentaries. Those of us who regularly work with material culture, like me, I'm an archaeologist, we're making the shift towards more personal activities, such as having students create and document the art around them. We're asking them to find and analyze historical or even archaeological objects in your own homes, families, and spaces. So our hope is that such an approach will help you, the students, see history alive and all around you in ways that are actually limited by a traditional classroom structure. Finally, last thing I promise, the creativity doesn't stop with the assignments and what we're expecting you to do. I'm excited because I decided to break away from the use of a textbook in my ancient Greek archaeology class. So I'm creating a podcast series for my students this fall. And I never would have done that without the push to really examine what we want our students to learn and the best ways to do that. So that's one of the major benefits of going virtual or hybrid this fall.
Awesome. Those were all really cool. Does anybody else have anything to add onto their department's efforts or what they're excited for in their departments, or should we?
Yeah, I'll just add one thing. So I'm the department head of politics, and I'm also the coordinator of the social political thought program. And let me just tell you about the colloquium and how exciting that's going to be. I know many of you are first-year students, so you're not going to be heading into a graduate course. But just as an example of what this opportunity is going to give us, normally it would take quite a bit of resources to get people to come. All the faculty have connections with other people elsewhere in the world, and we can now mobilize those connections. We can bring people in to give a talk where we wouldn't have been able to afford to bring someone in before. And so we can increase the diversity of people speaking in voices and opinions like never before. So that's a really exciting opportunity for us, whether it's in a colloquium or whether or not it's about the Saskatchewan election or whether or not it's about anything that's happening in the day-to-day world. We can really bring in people to talk to you and talk with us in the classroom in ways that just haven't happened before. So just, we're really trying to think. I totally agree with what Chelsea has said. We're really trying to rethink how we've been doing things and opening up to new opportunities. And I think it's really exciting.
Amazing. Okay. So question 2 is for Dr. Robinson. So what will happen with theater and art classes?
Thank you so much, Maddie. And I just want to point out, you can tell that the excitement of the faculty members in the Faculty of Arts, it's really wonderful how much people have sort of been rolling with this pandemic and hashtag silver linings. Theater and art classes are a bit different because often we think of them as needing to be on site. And in fact, our art studio classes will all be on site with social distancing. So they'll continue, but with a process of hand washing and distance between people. Theater will also be on site as well, mostly. And they're working on very innovative ways of social distance staging a theatrical production with a socially distanced audience right now. And that could change over the course of the term depending on the Nova Scotia Health Authority. But they're very engaged and innovative. There are some with theater classes that will be virtual only. And again, as the faculty member says, theater also happens on screen all the time. So it's another way of approaching a course that's usually on site and very hands-on. So thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Question 3 is for Dr. Whitehall, and again, anybody else that would like to join in at the end is welcome to. So Acadia faculty is known for providing a personal connection. How will this change in a virtual or hybrid course format?
Yeah, so this is really about the ways in which this new hybrid and virtual model can reproduce that special Acadia feeling where you get that close connection with your faculty members and with each other. And we've been really trying to figure out how to make sure that you have that kind of support. And so I thought about just a couple of examples. In the Department of Politics, we've shifted because, I think in large part because of of this opportunity, we've shifted our advising down to the faculty member and about 10 students. So normally it would have been the head of the department, and then I would have been advising students for the entire department, and people would just drop in my office and those kinds of things. Now we're really, we've changed it so that there will be someone there for you to contact and talk to if you have any problems along the way. And because it's a smaller number, you'll have a personal relationship with that advisor, and they'll be able to know your future ambitions, know the kinds of courses you might want to take in the future, know where you might want to go after Acadia, and can really help you make those kinds of choices on your sort of month-to-month, day-to-day, questions about how courses are going and so on. You can really connect with them in that way. So we've built that into our department so that you can always feel that someone is there to answer your question and to help you through this process. In the Department of Politics, we also have something called the Passport Program. And what that is we want you, the Passport Program is designed to make sure that you're connecting what's happening inside class with what's happening in the world around you. That's really important in politics. And so we want you to make those kinds of connections. And so we're going to continue the Passport Program, but now obviously you're not going to be attending events on campus. You're going to be trying to connect events that are happening, whether it's in your hometown or in your day-to-day life. There may still be events that happen on campus that you can still use to get your passport stamps. But now the scope of this program is so much wider that we can now draw in experiences from either across Canada or across the world, and we can have those showcased in the Passport Program. So again, we have this kind of support where students are able to connect what they're learning inside class to the world around them, and then connecting them to other students who are in the program, so that we still have that feeling of sharing those experiences and having faculty members understand the concrete examples that they're connecting, and we can develop those. We're also probably setting up consistent and constant virtual office hours. Those kinds of things are all in the works to make, the kinds of things that you probably expect. All of those things are going to be baked right in and in place, so that you will, whether it's your advisor or whether or not it's just something you want to talk to a faculty member, all of that is going to be baked right in, so that there will always be someone there to connect with you to make sure that you're moving along in the right direction.
All right, thanks, Dr. Whitehall. Anyone else have anything to add to that? All right. So question 4 is for Dr. Casey. So what if I'm in a different time zone but want to attend a hybrid course with scheduled courses?
Thanks, Maddie. So that's a great question, and it's something that we are kind of still working on, but that we want students to know that we're aware that this could be a concern. There may be options for lectures to be recorded so that you could stream them on your own time, especially if the time difference is such that you're in bed when sleeping when the class would be happening. So we're still working out how this is going to look, but it is on our radar, and it's something that we care about, and that we do want to make sure that we don't leave any students behind, and that they're all included in some type of this learning process.
Beautiful. Okay. Question 5 is for me. So if I'm an incoming student, what can I do to be better prepared? So I just want to cover that quickly off the hop, and I'll open it up to faculty members after. But again, just wanted to refer back to our Acadia 101 series. So these are a bunch of different webinars kind of geared at different aspects of campus. Really cool to check out, will help you prepare for fall. And again, this has forced us to kind of get more creative with how we do our typical summer orientation. So definitely check out the website for those upcoming webinars, and also past ones that will be posted online there. But I don't know if any faculty members would like to touch on this for incoming first-year students at all.
Yeah, I have a couple things that I could suggest. So obviously, anybody who's listening in has Teams downloaded or is using it. Many of us faculty members will be using Teams, so become familiar with some of the things that Teams can offer, I would suggest. Those of you who are returning students will know about Acorn and our online content management system. New students, as soon as you can get into Acorn, please do click around. A lot of professors will have their content up and running before the actual official start date of classes, and that will be intentional on the behalf of a lot of professors because they'll want you to click around and see how the course is going to develop over the term. And so basically just do what you can with the online resources that are available. Go to the Vaughan Memorial Library website, check out some of the resources that are available there, familiarize yourself with, discipline librarians and subject study guides. And yeah, check out the tools that we have because there's actually a lot out there. And then I guess in sort of a less resource heavy way of thinking, embrace the change. Try not to think of this course only in comparison to what you have experienced before or what you might have imagined that an Acadia course would look like. And remember that, yeah, we're all in this together.
Fabulous. Okay.
If I could offer just maybe a mind of recommendation, just that, as there are going to be some changes. And so it might not be a bad idea for you to sort of stake out if you're at home, stake out your territory and set up a space that you will be able to work from and feel comfortable working from, or whether or not, really try to figure out how that space is going to work for you so that you can be productive in that space and have some quiet time if it's possible, or figure out some scheduling. It's good to have those conversations with people around you in advance so that it doesn't build up when you're trying to do it and do the course at the same time. So giving some thought in advance to how this is going to unfold for you is not a bad idea. Maybe start thinking a little bit about how you're going to, get in a bike ride or those types of things, and scheduling, so you're really thinking about what a healthy and happy life looks like for you as you're dealing with obviously some really interesting intellectual materials, but that is coming into a well-balanced life that you're now, you have to do those kinds of things as well in terms of making sure that you eat well and that you have time away and those things. So really, spend some time thinking about how setting up your environment to be productive for you in advance is maybe a piece of advice I'd offer.
And I just have, sorry.
No, Becky, you go first.
My piece of advice too is to reach out and ask questions. There's lots of people working behind the scenes at Acadia that are there for you. And there's, all your questions, there's probably someone else that's also wondering what's happening. So you can reach out, to faculty members, but also there's lots of resources elsewhere on campus. So you want to make sure that you're aware of what resources we have and don't be afraid to use it, because that's why we're here. And I think also enjoy your summer while you can. And then we're looking forward to seeing you either in person or virtually at some point. So.
Lovely. I don't feel I won't even add anything after enjoy your summer. I was just going to talk about how we all have to be prepared for the protocols when we're on campus and on site. So, social distancing, we have to be aware of our environment when we're moving through it in a way that we haven't been before. But hopefully as we get out into the world now, in various places, we're getting used to that kind of negotiation with our physical space. Thanks.
Perfect. And sorry, just to add one more thing too on Dr. Robinson's point there, another kind of throwback to the fall info session webinars are fantastic for that too. So those are being held tomorrow. Again, will be recorded and posted online, but take a peek at those just for kind of the operations of Acadia in the fall. All right, so question 6 for Dr. Robinson. Will students be presented with other courses they can take instead?
So I'm assuming this is if a student can only take virtual courses or if a student wants to be taking on-site courses. And yes, when the moment the information comes out on Friday, students will be able to see what the course mode is, and then they can make decisions about what courses they might want to take, get some advising whether that course will fit with their program. But certainly there is choice out there in terms of modality and courses.
Okay. And another one for you, Laura. So will courses operate on a pass-fail system? So
courses always can operate on a pass-fail system. That is an option always for faculty members. Most faculty members tend to go for the more nuanced scale of marking. So it's still in the purview of that professor and whether they think that it's pedagogically viable for them or not. In the spring, at the end of the winter session, a lot of courses went pass-fail because they ended abruptly or they had to go virtual suddenly without any planning. So that was a different kind of situation. Going forward, we're going to treat this like any kind of regular term as much as we can. Thanks.
All right, and last one again for you, Laura. How are exams going to operate for courses this semester?
So it'd be great for the other faculty members to weigh in if they want to. Again, this is course dependent. If it's an on-site course, there's an exam scheduled for the course, it will most likely be an on-site exam with proper social distancing. A lot for the virtual and or hybrid courses, often there are take-home exams. And a lot of faculty members in the past have organized their courses so that they're take-home exams at the end of it. So we might just see a bit more of that. I don't know if other faculty members want to weigh in here on some of the options they know that they're doing or their colleagues are. I can call on you.
Yeah, in my department, a lot of people are thinking about alternative modes of assessment and again, tailoring those modes of assessment to meet the kind of delivery model that they're using. And so maybe sometimes an exam which may have been appropriate in an in-class environment might not be appropriate in a virtual environment. It may not have the same kind of effect. So, everyone is thinking about how to make sure, an exam is not punishment. An exam is an opportunity for you to demonstrate what you've learned and for you to, in fact, celebrate all of those great lessons along the way and for you to show what, and so, we're thinking about those kinds of opportunities all the way up to the end to try to make sure that that information that you learned through the year and those ideas, you get a chance to review them and to sort of bake them into your consciousness so that you can carry them forward as tools and skills into your upper level classes. And so some of that may be a take-home exam. Some of people may shift to final papers where you get some more time to reflect, and others still may find that because of the content that it is important to have a formal exam in order to sort of get it in there. So there are different ways for us to use tools of assessment in order to further your learning and to really make sure that you have those skills moving forward. That's really what an exam is about.
All right. Do we have any more comments on that from Dr. Gardner or Dr. Casey there? No? Okay. So we're going to head into the live Q&A session. So again, just from housekeeping, there is a chat box, so you can type your question in there. We're going to moderate kind of on a first come, first serve as they pop up for me. I will be tossing it off to faculty members who I think might, best answer it. Everybody can chime in if they'd like to. But yeah, we have quite a bit of time here for the questions, so don't be shy. So the first one we have here So is the class virtual or not virtual based on whether or not it is possible to be 100% online? Meaning that if a class is able to be online, that it definitely will be. So I don't know if somebody wants to take a stab at this one with regards to Faculty of Arts.
I think so this is Laura. I think the answer would be yes. The virtual is 100% online for everyone. The difference being there might be a scheduled virtual or an unscheduled virtual. So that's the difference between the two. I hope that answers the question.
And I also think, oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead, Maddie.
I was just going to say, I think maybe the criteria for what we've decided as an institution to put the individual courses online, if they can be online, they will be online, or how, I think maybe that's more along the question, how have we decided maybe which to choose for each course?
Yeah, I was just going to jump in and say, this is Chelsea here. I was just going to say that, I mean, in reality, any class can be 100% online, as we're seeing with, you know, art studio classes could be online and theater classes could be online, and hey, Latin classes can be online, as it turns out. But for each individual class, the decision ultimately was left with the faculty member and what worked best for them based on a whole set of circumstances, from health to comfort to preparedness to resources to access to, you know, the internet and online tools to class size, et cetera, et cetera. So not everything is online just because it can be online. And you will all find out, I think, Friday, what is 100% online versus what is hybrid versus what is going to be in class or in person.
And I think the distinction between scheduled and unscheduled is really important. You know, there may be a class that is virtual, but everyone's meeting at the same time. The lecture would be given live. There would be opportunity for back and forth, sort of similar to what's happening right now. And so there's still, you know, that's a virtual experience, but it's one that's interactive and it's responsive. And then there might be some other ones that, you know, maybe we stereotypically think of a virtual class, which is one which is pre-recorded and has modules that you move through at your own speed. And so that's a different kind of virtual class. So even within the virtual experience, there's going to be diversity in how those are delivered in order to be able to maximize what's going on in that classroom.
Okay. So our next question up is, what about students for whom virtual learning is disadvantageous, from disability to social and independent resourcefulness? So I just wanted to touch on that quickly, just separate from the faculty. We do have an accessible learning services team that is fantastic. This has been a learning curve for them as well, but they're working around the clock to ensure, you know, that our current students and future students will have resources that they need depending on what their courses look like. And I don't know if any faculty want to jump in on that if they've had those discussions within their own departments.
That seemed to be a wonderful answer, Maddie. I certainly, if people feel that they personally can't do a 100% virtual unscheduled class, then hopefully they can find some other options available to them. But definitely start by checking in with our accessibility folk.
I'll add something here too. I will say that those faculty members that I know who are doing online scheduled, including myself, at no point will any of the online meetings be absolutely 100% mandatory if you're in a situation where you can't make those meetings for whatever reason, whether that's because you need some sort of accessibility services, or as I mentioned before, if you're in a rural area or you don't have access to the technology. So again, flexibility will be key here on the part of the faculty. Even if our courses have a scheduled component, you won't be at a disadvantage if you are unable to make that scheduled appointment. And even even with the virtual unscheduled classes, I know a couple of colleagues of mine who are doing those as well. They will also be, I mean, it won't be like a hands-off situation where they don't check in with you all the time. People will be making a conscious effort to do one-on-one meetings with students, to do face-to-face chats, to make sure that everyone is, benefiting from this or is at the same stage, etc. So we'll be doing our best, but help us help you, right? Like, let us know what you need at any stage in the game.
Thank you. All right, next question. Will the opportunity for online learning mean that class sizes can expand at all beyond what is being offered currently? So, sometimes courses do fill up on our course registration website. So I guess if it is online, is there more opportunity to open those up a bit further?
For that one, I would turn it over to the faculty members because they're the ones who are sitting with the courses, and particularly Jeffrey. I don't know if there's any talk of opening up enrollments or raising the number of students in classes.
We're still, there's always discussion about how to get students into classes. We don't want to turn any student away. I think the question is correct, is that virtual gives us this opportunity to allow some flexibility there. There are some technical caps that we would have to navigate in terms of who's teaching the class and so on, and how they're hoping to deliver that course. But for the most part, just to echo a sort of a common sentiment, is that we're really trying to be as flexible as possible in order to be able to accommodate all the different kinds of needs of all the different kinds of students. We really understand that things are different, and we're trying to be as flexible as possible to do that. So some classes have caps because the content requires really hands-on kind of connections, and so even if it's virtual, it still may not be possible to do that. You're absolutely right. The virtual environment may allow for more students to come in, but Acadia prides itself on having small classes because it allows us to have those kinds of connections, and so we wouldn't want to just go opening up the doors and let all of U of T come to Acadia to experience our small classes, and then effectively undermine the very thing that makes us so special, is that interpersonal connection with students, and making sure that those classes are really rooted and connected to your life and connected to the materials. So yes and no, I guess, is the way to go.
Yeah, bit of gray area right now. All right, so a similar question here. Will online flexibility mean that someone could sign up for courses that did not originally fit their schedule because of a time conflict? So, obviously when classes are in person, you can't take 2 classes that start at 9:30. I don't know if faculty want to touch on this. One thing that I think of initially might be how exams are being run, or testing, things like that. If you had a test on the same day, but they were similar slots, how would that work? Just kind of as an example for that question.
So I can weigh in because we actually were dealing with a conflict situation like this, where there was someone in an on-site class that was conflicting with a scheduled virtual class, and the faculty member said that he would let those students in to the scheduled virtual class. And so on a case-to-case basis, we could have made it, the end of the story was it didn't need to be worked out, but we could have worked that out. So yes, case by case, come to the dean and we'll see what we can work on if there's a conflict like that. And then we'll have to deal with exams and things that might fall out because of it, but I think we can.
Awesome. Okay, next question here. Can you confirm that live classes and campus residency remains a go for students? Comments on remote learning are giving the impression otherwise. So right off the bat there, yes, we are a go for those. Again, your course formats will be different. You'll receive that information on Friday. Residence Life is working to make residence safe for students, safe for faculty, all Acadia staff and our community members. So again, it is a moving target. We all know that. It's been an interesting few months. So we are working, with the government, with public health, to make sure that we are following all those guidelines, and whether that might be transitioning to different models, that sort of thing. But as of right now, yes, it does remain a go for students coming to campus, and there will be certain live classes for sure. I don't know if any faculty want to weigh in on the class portion of that comment as well.
So I do plan to teach 2 of my courses, mostly or partially online. So I would like to be in the classroom teaching students about methods and sociology of work. I think those 2 would be nice to do face-to-face, but then also, I would like to bring some of it offline as well, just to maybe to also make it a little bit more creative, and I would have more opportunities. That way I'm still kind of planning those courses, but I do plan on being in the classroom with the social distancing and following all the protocols. So at least there's, and I think there's other faculty in sociology that will also be doing that, and probably, some across the other arts programs as well. So I think like you'll know more on Friday, but there are some that will be live in person.
Between the on-campus, the professors who are opting for on-campus and the hybrid courses, I think you'll find that there's at least 50%, if not more, of courses that will be available on site. But you'll have to check your own personal schedules and the courses that you've registered for already when the information comes out on Friday, because the percentages don't mean anything until they're yours, right? So, yeah.
I'll just add, if there are any incoming history students out there, the first year required history course, the practicing historian, is going to be taking place like face-to-face live. So I know that, for example, that's the one class that we have in the history and classics department that is required for all incoming majors, and that one will be live.
All right. So next question here is, any ideas on how labs will be done? So I'm not sure if this question is regarding definitely science labs. Those types of labs will be covered in our Faculty of Science webinar on Friday. But any art labs, Faculty of Arts labs, I know Dr. Robinson mentioned that the studio art courses will be live in person with social distancing. But are there any other examples of, a co-requisite lab or studio perhaps that arts courses have, and how those will be carried out?
I can't think of any off the top of my head, but maybe one of the others can weigh in. I do know that the Dean of Science has been hard at work trying to come up with all kinds of different options for lab courses. So if people are signed up for science courses, they can tune in to the Faculty of Science session webinar on, I believe it's Friday.
That's right, Friday same time, 3 o'clock Atlantic time.
Yeah, there are, we've only right now planned as far as the fall goes in terms of how our classes will be delivered. My intro to archaeology class does have sort of a pseudo lab component, but it's being moved to the winter just to wait and see, because I really want that to be on campus and in person, and it's such a crucial part of the course that we'll just have to wait and see for things like that. But I can't think of anything either for this fall.
Okay. All right, so when it comes to Maple League courses, does Acadia University have a sense as to whether the varied intersession course availability will continue into the fall 2020 semester? So for those of you on the line who might not know what Maple League is, it's basically just kind of a cooperative effort between 4 institutions, so Acadia, St. FX, Mount Allison, and Bishop's University. We're all quite small, you know, a bit more rural than larger institutions. So that's just our Maple League community there. We do offer cross-institutional kind of intersession courses. So I don't know if there are any Faculty of Arts ones kind of on the go right now, or if there's any talk with Maple League and specifically to our Faculty of Arts at Acadia.
So we are in a discussion with St. FX to offer a Maple League course in Mi'kmaq language. I think that would be in the fall, but it may be in the winter. And I do think whatever Maple League courses that would be available for the fall would be available to Acadia students. So definitely. But I noticed that you used the word intercession. So so that's very specifically in this time frame. But the online courses that Acadia offers have a intake, like a regular intake, so you can sign up for those anytime. So if that's another kind of question there, or maybe a sidebar, a tangent like going out from that question. Yes, thanks.
Yeah, just to add to that too, our online courses are under what we call Open Acadia, and as Dr. Robinson mentioned, it is like a constant intake, so you don't have to, you know, necessarily sign up by a certain time. You kind of can just sign up whenever and go at your own pace. So not sure if we actually have any you know, relationship with Maple League in that sense for Open Acadia courses, but that is something that, again, all institutions are looking into, all of our Maple League partners there. I don't know if there's any history or sociology or politics courses on the Maple League docket, but we will continue to update you. All right.
I do think it's another example of how we'll be sharing resources across like institutions in order to try to enrich our experience. And so, you know, we're always working with to try to see what kinds of opportunities are there to, you know, to mobilize those. So I think the Maple League is a really good example of how we'll be doing that. Whether or not it's in a classroom environment or whether or not it's with shared big name lectures and speakers and so on, we'll be able to collaborate in ways that really allow us to exceed our original capacity.
All right, thank you. So just wanted to be cognizant of time here. We do have to end the session at 4 o'clock, so we have a few more minutes. But I just wanted to say before it's too late that if we don't get to your question, we are going to be kind of compiling an FAQ document to post within a few days. And so we will be able to answer your questions there. And again, if we can't, we'll pop an email address in that you can reach out to. It's Acadia4, the number 4, u@acadiau.ca. So we'll add that in at the end too. But the next question, so for students who know that a virtual option will not be successful for them, what sort of help is Acadia providing as far as deferring a year? So again, you can defer if you're an incoming student, incoming first-year student, you can defer your acceptance up to a year. So you can defer it to the January semester if you'd like, or to September 2021. We do recommend, especially if you're an incoming first year, to reach out to your enrollment advisor just to chat about it. We can get you in touch with your faculty members, your department, just so that we can try and help you before you make those decisions. We do really want to help everyone, but again, we also understand that it's a different world and it might not be for everyone, and that's okay. So just if you're incoming first year, reach out to your enrollment advisor. I'm an enrollment advisor for the Toronto area, kind of Ontario, but we can all be found online on our enrollment services website. And for current students, so if you're returning second, third, fourth, fifth year student, I really highly recommend reaching out again to your department, chat with them, see what your courses are going to be when your email comes out on Friday. And then you can kind of make those decisions with them. You can kind of pick their brains as to how things are going to be, but we can definitely help you with that. So there's always options for deferring if that is what you prefer. Don't know if anybody had anything to add to that, but again, we are open. You know, we want to help you folks. So do all the faculty members. So reach out to people with questions you have about that. So will there be changes when it comes to thesis writing and accessibility to resources for said theses? So I will hand that over to the faculty members here. I don't know if anybody has any examples of that or any examples of students that might be writing upcoming or honor students who are writing their theses coming up in the fall.
I'll weigh in first and just say I can't imagine there would be any necessary changes to thesis writing. It would be unfolding the way it has. And access to materials, the library has done a remarkable work at creating accessibility, curbside pickup. They'll mail resources to you. If they only have physical copies, they will scan things and send them to you. So the materials are out there and available, but I'll hand it over to the people on the ground because they may be seeing how theses are being written and dealt with right now.
I'll just say that a thesis is so often such a unique, is dependent on such a unique relationship with your supervisor, that actually this is something that can really be, it's not, I can't imagine, it's one of the courses that I can imagine staying the most the same. You're not going to be able maybe be in the same 5-foot perimeter, but it's really going to be, you're going to be able to have those conversations with your supervisor and talk about things and have it be flexible and drop in and meet with them and those kinds of things. So, the writing process is itself, something that you're going to take on in your own pace, and then meeting with your supervisor on regular intervals and talking about ideas and those types of things are both conducive to either the virtual or distance meetings, if that's possible. And we're, again, as I mentioned, we have a social political thought graduate program and a politics graduate program, and students are defending over the summer, and we're having full committee defenses that are meeting. And at first I was a little skeptical, but they've ended up being absolutely fabulous and really rewarding. And they're different, but they still have so much of the same kinds of connections that they did in the past. So they're just slightly different.
Okay, so I think we have time for one more question. We are 2 minutes away from our timeline here. So just quickly, will lab courses, specifically RDA, so RDA stands for Research Design and Analysis, so will those labs be strictly online, or is there room for those to be virtual as well? I think maybe this question meant, will they be strictly in person, or is there room to be virtual, or vice versa? So RDA is a psych course, I believe. I'm not sure if there's other research design labs within the Faculty of Arts. Psych is a funny one because it can be arts or science. So I'm not sure if Dr. Robinson, you can cover that now, or if that maybe will be covered by Dr. Susie Curry in the science webinar.
Yeah, I imagine that will be covered in the science webinar.
Okay, so we will cover that RDA question in the webinar on Friday. And if not, if you'd like, oh, sorry.
Can I just sneak it? So I do teach this.
Okay, perfect.
In sociology. It's going to be online because we have to do a lot of group work. And so, there may, I think it's just easier, but it will be, I'll bring everyone in as a group. And then in a methods class, an intro one, I'm also, I'm teaching that as well. And I think some of the more hands-on things will be happening kind of outside of the class, but if not, I do have a classroom scheduled for that. But I thought carefully about the research design analysis course and just thought because it's primarily group work, it's just better, I think, if everyone's kind of in their own space, especially if some students aren't able to come to Acadia. But I am available to help students one-on-one too, if there was any questions that they had about those courses, because those will be kind of a bit tricky as we navigate through the fall.
Beautiful, thank you. All right, so that is our time for today. So I did just want to mention again, if we didn't get to your questions, You can, we highly recommend if you're in incoming first year, reach out to your enrollment advisor or to your faculty members, reach out to your department. We want to hear from you. We want to help. Friday, July 10th, you will be receiving an email based on, the courses that you have registered, how to determine what they will be, how to determine how they'll be delivered, and where to find that information. So keep an eye on your emails over the coming months, and especially this Friday. So orientation, again, new and returning, go to those webinar sessions, check out the information online. They're really great resources. Again, this whole situation has forced us to go more virtual, and it's been really helpful. So check out those past webinars, sign up for the upcoming ones. And again, more questions, reach out to us. You can reach out to the general Acadia for You email address. I think we'll pop it in the chat box there, but it's just Acadia, the number 4, the letter U at acadiau.ca. So thank you so much for joining us today. I really want to thank our presenters from the Faculty of Arts, and we look forward to working with you this fall and hopefully seeing some of you on and around campus. So thanks so much again for joining us.
Thanks,
Have a
everybody.
great summer, everyone.
Thank you.